So today's mini repair project, I guess you could call it, is this. Now this is the power head, so the power brush head from a Dyson V8 battery vacuum, so little portable vacuum thing. And what has happened is the motor will only work when this piece, so basically the bit that connects to the wand and the actual vacuum itself, is in this position here. When you move it to this position, it stops working. So let's have a look and see if we can ascertain why this has happened. Now, first off, excuse the dirtiness of this. This is just how they go. They get sort of covered in various bits of schmutz and stuff from the floor. However, to my credit, I do keep the actual brush bar in good condition by replacing it once every 6 months or so, because these bristles here just wear out like nobody's business. Anyway, let's remove that section first. Let's actually get this out of the way. And you'll notice that there are a lot of T something or other torx bits around. So let's grab my torx bits selection, and along with the relevant screwdriver drive, which I'm trying to find now actually, which is a bit annoying. I don't know where it's sitting in my rack of screwdrivers. I'm sure it will turn up when I least expect it. There it is. It is this one. There you go. So let's grab my torx bits. Now this one is actually quite small, so I reckon they are T7 or T8. Let's try T8 first. Yeah, it's a T8. So let's remove what we can see. Makes a difference to what I normally work on, be it cars, video recorders, televisions, etc. This is a little bit different. There we go. I'm trying to work out where the motor is actually. I guess the motor is this piece here, because there doesn't seem a space big enough over here to actually have the motor, so I'm guessing it's in the actual... Oh yeah, that would make sense, because that end spins there, so obviously that spins freely, so this is the motor, and with that spinning, the roller would sit on that and this would remain completely stationary. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Right, let's carry on. So there. And there's one down here which will probably be full of dust and stuff, but I've managed to get into it. There are a couple here, and is there one there? No, there isn't one there. There may be, actually there is one here. I've been inside this before for various reasons, because it got so blocked that I had to completely dismantle it. So under this little sticky label here, there is another torx there that you just need to be aware of. So let's see if I can get to these ones. So there are two here, one either side, so one here, one over here. And just to remember, that shorter one goes in here, so short one here. So yeah, sorry, short one here. was just checking that we were focused. Then we have this one. There we go. There you go. So far, apart from that centre one, all of these appear to be the same length. Now, I can't remember if there's any under this, but if I recall, we will find out in a moment. You can actually look through here and see if there's any screws or sort of points where it looks like there may be screws, and I think there is actually underneath this. So seems to be some clips here, so we'll grab a flat blade and gently work those loose just to see if we're right. And as you can see, that does actually bring this up and allow you to remove that. It will be filthy. Don't be under any illusions that it won't be. And as you can see, we do have one here and one over here. So with these, it is worth checking everywhere. If you don't think there's going to be a screw there, there probably is a screw there. It's that sort of kind of setup, really. Thankfully, these are the same size as the majority of screws, which is handy. Here we go. And there's the final one here when it comes out. And let's just see if there's anything else that I might be missing. So we've got that one, this one. There we go. There's none here, none there. And you'll see that we're sort of locked in by this assembly at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just grab a crosshead and just remove the wheels. There we go. So we'll put those like that so we can reunite them. You'll notice there's a Torx here. Now that is longer, so the longer one goes into here. If we flip it over to this side, we've got the other wheel to remove. There you go. So the wheel has a centre and a single screw like so, and looks like we've got another Torx over here, so we'll just sort that out. Made a rather interesting squeaking noise. So that is, yep, that's an identical screw to the other side. And we should be in a position now where this starts to fall apart. So there we go, there's one part of it already gone. And that does allow us to see what's going on with the wiring. So you can see that the wiring runs through here, is sort of little, basically that's just a little sort of positioning thing, sort of allows it to lock into position. It's a bit of a little wiring guide there. Then that will go through into the motor here. So what we will have in this section, so we've obviously got these two little connectors here. There is going to be a point where we'll be able to hopefully see the wires, and determine what's going on. So this should come off. There we go, so that's off there. And I can immediately see one potential issue. And there it is. So there is actually a breakage in the wire, which makes perfect sense. That's why it isn't working. Small breakage in the wire. The actual wire itself has got locked up around there. So what I am going to do is see if I can actually get this piece off and then see if I can work out how to extend it and solder it into place. Whilst doing that, it's probably a good idea to give all of this a clean as well. It's astonishing just how filthy these things get. Anyway, what we need to do is we need to get that black wire out. We've got a tiny little bit here to work with, and we've got a little bit in here to work with as well. So just get these bits of hay out of the way. There we go. And let me pop this into here. There we go. It's kind of coming into view. But that will account as to why it works when you put it into a particular position, because obviously you're making contact and then you're breaking it when you move it like that. Ideally I want to try and get this collar off so that I can get access to it without having this in the way, and then try to repair it. Whatever repair you do, you're going to need to have this back on in place, because obviously this has got to feed through it. But to be able to access the wire and extend it without connecting it to this end, I want to have this out of the way. And looking at it, seeing as this one is beginning to go, what I'm going to do is chop the white cable as well, and we're going to extend both of them. So let's grab some snips. And let's chop that white cable off. So let's grab. So we'll need those to give us some new wire. Probably need those. We will need the soldering iron. We will need some heat shrink, and we will need some wire, cable, and other bits and pieces. Let's start with these to begin with. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's chop it about here. Sorry, let me show you what I'm doing. So let's chop that about here. There you go. That should hopefully allow me to remove this. So I can see why it sort of snags a little bit. So I'll take this off camera and see if I can force it slightly, which isn't quite working as I hoped. That's come off, keep that out of the way for the minute. That's completely off. But that does give us something to work with. You can see where we're sort of being stopped. It's here on the actual hinge piece for that. So let's see. Also, it's not so much that hinge piece, it's actually here is our stop point. No, that's our locking point, sorry, because we're trying to go this way back. Let's try, can we turn it at all? No, it literally just is that position or nothing at all. I have an idea. So that will come out like so. Then what I might be able to do is pull that and that and actually just remove it that way. So we have this end and this end that we need to solder onto. This is going to be a little bit more difficult. Is there a way I can remove this? I have a feeling that that is probably sealed with some kind of adhesive. Let's see if I can get in here at all. That's something, I guess. Let's try this one. That's also quite positive. So we have the potential for something there. Now, we can't just join those straight because we have a conduit to go through and other things at the same time. So what I'm going to do is actually put something onto this end, then something onto here, and join them in the middle. So actually sort of just extend these about an inch or so, just to give us a bit more cable to play with. I don't even know if this will work, but you know, we're going to give it a go. Just get rid of this hair around there. Let's fire up the iron. There we go, that's the soldering iron on. Okay, that's the iron warming up. Let's find some suitable cable. Let's see where we are with suitable gauge cable, and also we need the heat shrink as well. So I can see my heat shrink. I can also see the cabling. I'm actually thinking about it and wondering if I can use some of these to effect a slightly quicker repair. So what I'm thinking is possibly use one of these two of these small ones, slip them over each of these, melt them together, and then see where we are. So let's see what we can do. Not convinced, I'll be honest, because I think this needs more flexibility than this is going to afford. But we shall see. So we'll get that one to about there. Do the same with this one. Okay, so that's there for the moment. Now there is the blob of solder in there. But that's not up far enough to be able to reach the solder blob. So what I'm hoping is if I push the wire down in there, the solder will flow into the wire. And there is a certain amount of flex on these, more than I initially thought, to be honest with you. So we do have some flex. I'll put this one down further so it's level with the one next to it here. And let's find some suitably sized wire. So where is my wire? Let's have a look. Funnily enough, it's exactly where I left it when I packed it away previously, in the place where I put it. However, I think I don't want to use single core. I probably want to use something with similar to what we have. So let's see if we can even match the colours. So we need black and white. I can do sort of whitish, and I can also do black as well. So, sorry, I'm just doing this off camera. I'm just going to grab a snip of some black. Now this will be longer than I actually need, so that'll be shortened down a bit when we actually come to it. So this is going to be white. Has a black stripe because it's actually speaker cable, but the gauge of the wire is actually very close to what we need, which is handy. that out of the way. Actually, I'll just grab the lighter out of there because we will need that to melt these joints. So here is the white, so that's going to go onto that black. That one is, yeah, that's the white, so that's going to go into our white. As I say, these are longer than they need to be because of reasons. Now, I'm going to try something. May or may not work. I actually have an even better idea. Let's try this. So let's move that. Focus that. Go on, melt through. Actually, I need to hold that until it's finished expelling all its heat, but that has worked way better than I thought, actually. It's made this plastic super hot, but that does prove something, that this is really heat-resistant plastic. That's a nice solder joint. That's done exactly what I wanted it to do. Let's just wait for that to finish. Actually, what I'll do, I'll just put this down somewhere where there's nothing that it's going to flame off in the way. So that should do over there. We'll need that again in a minute. Right, so this one, the black. So we're going to go same deal again. Into there, into the solder point and past. Turn this on again. Let that warm up. Move the lighter out the way, so you don't want to be melting the lighter. That would be incredibly dangerous. Target the heat. Solder melts. There you go. Let's turn that off again. And let that cool down. Actually, we'll turn off the soldering iron, as I don't think we'll need that at the moment. Let's rest this there. That can shoot its heat out into the ether. And we'll let these cool down a little bit. So obviously this is quite hot at the moment, however we do look as if we have a nice solder joint going on. So we're going to grab another couple of these because this approach seems to have worked quite nicely, and what we're going to do is put it onto these. However, before we do that actually, will it fit through our conduit? I'm not convinced it will, so let's grab our conduit and let's give this a good clean up. Funny enough, with the wires out of the way, you can actually see what you've got. So you've got this little bit here where the wiring goes into. This comes over in this direction, so you've got this notch here, over like so. Then that's in position there. Then obviously you've got the bit we've just done the soldering on, which goes over it. So what we'll need to do is put these through here. Keep that out of the way there. Put this effectively back into position on here. Trying to work this out actually, which way does it go in? And then you have coming down like so, coming nope, sorry, wrong way. So that goes into, I think, here, there maybe. That makes sense. Then down like so, and I would guess there until it's there. This one down here. For some reason it crosses over that. I don't know if this is the way it was originally, but that'll cross over. The best way to tell is look at this. So that's going to be coming into this that way. Okay, so white is on the side I thought it would be. Black is over here. That's why black isn't as accessible. It's because it's actually running a longer travel, longer distance. White isn't. So white like so. Then you got the two ends here. So what we will do is a little notch off of here. Oh, blimey. And off of here as well. So I'll actually just leave those out for the minute. Do this one. There we go. So let's work this through. Do white first, then we will do black. Okay, so there's our white. that there, put this on. Actually work that down like so. Get that right down there. Then we'll need this piece. So what we're going to do actually is chop the white quite short. So probably about there. Then come into here with the white. Like so. Black will do in a moment, but let's fire up the heat gun. So that's going to hit 300 degrees. You can do this with a lighter, or you can even do this with one of those gas lighter things, which is probably actually the better thing to do it with if you don't have a heat gun like this. So I'm trying to get that solder blob to touch. Whoops. That's not gone quite to plan. I'm trying to get that solder blob to touch the white cable on the other end. It really hasn't gone to plan actually. Let's try and do this. Let's get the black out of the way. Come on. Right, let's try and work that down again. Come on, solder. It's annoying. It's going in one direction, but not towards where I want it to go, which is there. Alright. Let's try this again. This time we'll favour this end rather than the other end. So let's go in through here. This out completely. So take that off completely so we don't have that to worry about. And let's go onto this end. So actually, hang on, sorry, what I'll do this end. This end. That's better, so we've got more showing on that side than this side, like so. Lock it into position with that, then solder it like so. That's better, that's flowing more effectively. And then lock that one into position like so. A bit more solder. I think we're there with that one. Now we need to do the black. So black I'll actually cut a little bit longer because I don't think I gave myself enough length with the last one. Put those two there. So this one over here, into there. Same deal with this one. Just turn and twist, turn and twist, and then into here, push all the way down. So that we get crossover on both of those. There we go. Just wait for this to warm up. There we are, solder is propagating throughout the joint. That's locking it in place. And there we go, so let's power that off, like so. Pop that there. Now we can actually try the motor. So what I'm going to do is grab my 12-volt supply. And hook up the connectors and see what we got. So let's get some crocodile clips. And let's grab the 12-volt supply. Just clear a bit of space first. Volt supply. Okay, so not sure if this will even work, if I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure how the motor, what type of motor it is. If it's not a DC motor, this won't work. But we'll give it a go. Let's hook up one of the pins. So let's say black is there. There we go. Right, I'll turn it down to 6 volts. Yeah, that works. There we go. Right. Now we can plumb all of that back in. So, that's tested. That's working. Let's move our 12-volt supply out the way. Turn off that soldering station. Put the hot gun back. The heat gun. Hot gun, heat gun. Hot produces heat and it's a gun. Let's pop this away. And let's carry on attacking this. Right, that's over there. Now, this is going to be the fun bit. And the fun bit is getting all of this back together again. So let's start off with the relatively easy bit, which is threading it through onto here. Oh. So that is onto there. I had a horrible sinking feeling that I'd have to completely pull everything apart again, but thankfully you don't, because it goes around like so. Then you have white following this track down here, and then black next to it. And as I said earlier, black is taking the longer journey. following the longer path, so let's just do that. There we go. Let's follow that there. Follow that around there. That there. Just press that down, like so. There we go. So that's come out here. Now this is the point where it's going to be interesting, and that is because we have to cram all of that in somehow. So what I'm going to try to do is work this into there, like so. This is always going to be the weak point because literally just of the way it's all set up, it's designed to fall apart. That's the problem. And that's just a lot of extra tension on somewhere I really don't want a lot of extra tension. Then we have this bit, which, if we remember from previous attempts, the only way it can go is one way. There's also a big mush of dog hair trapped here as well, which is lovely. Get that out of the way. That's going to go in here. That's going to go under there and there, I think. Nearly there. Now, I think I know why. Hang on. Let's come out again. Yeah, that's why. So this bit actually needs to go in here, interestingly. Sort of lock in to there. And then cut, oh I see, and then come through. No, that's too far now. So about there, and oh I see, so that goes into there. Yeah, so it does go in there, you just need to have, you need to feed this bit in to there, so this bit into here after you've put this on. Right, so that's going. So that kind of needs to go into there somehow. There. Here. So sort of there, there and in. Actually push it forward a bit further than it should, and you actually expose it. So you can go into there, and then sort of hook it in at the back. So it's sort of like that, supposedly. Yeah, you can sort of see that there. Or am I imagining that, because that's still going to cover that. That's still not going to work because that will be squeezed by this. So that won't work at all. Which is why there's actually no other way it can go. That is in position there. Pull that out. That no longer meets with where I was hoping it would go. I wonder if I've actually got this wrong, you know. Alright, let's pull this back. And let's see if I've got it wrong. Because you would think that this would sit quite happily. All of that tucked up and held in like so. Then that tucked up into there. And its own little conduit. Tucked up into there. Just need to move that white one across. Everything there, like that. Okay, now, with that in mind, this comes over. If I come over like this, so actually come at an angle, I'm wondering if I can get that through. Just getting these pushed right in. That's definitely in the right position, I'm sure of it. Then through. There. Then through. And that's it. Yeah, so that actually sits there, so you can see it there. And I would think that that will then sit into here, but this will sort of go around a little bit. I might need to push that through a little bit more, or do I? No, actually, has it met the... No, it hasn't quite met the points it needs to screw onto, so that needs to come through a little bit more. There is a possibility actually I need to push that right down to get it through. That doesn't work. Yeah, I thought that was too good to be true, because that needs to be way more through so it meets up with those screws on there. That is quite perplexing. So I think that will go around like that. Alright, let's take this off again. Let's keep that out of there. Let's put this over, keeping this bit outside. Let's go through. And is that a possible success? Let's come right the way through. Let's do back into there again. Back onto where it should be, or we think it should be. Then back a little bit with this so we meet the screw holes, which means pushing this forward there, and we've met up with the screw holes, so that actually sits kind of right in there, allowing us to guide these wires around. So yeah, there we are. I think that's it. Let's just move that to there and put these in to hold it in position. So if you remember, it's the longer of the bolts that we need, one each side. There's one. There's the other. Yep, that's the other one. And actually that makes perfect sense, because you then have that rubber point there, then allows you to feed the rest of this into the actual head itself, which we'll need to reassemble in a moment. So let's just screw that up. Right, once that's there, let's just grab some of that out of the way. I'm not going to clean this perfectly, to be honest with you, because it'll only get very dirty again very quickly. that is this way, I think. This one goes first. So this one comes over like so. So we've actually got those going into there. It's actually flattened some of the wiring on this. You can really see that a lot of this is under a lot of tension, nearly all the time. So there are many weak spots in this design, which makes it basically throwaway, essentially. This will come down onto here, like so. And then we need to work out how this goes in. So this actually needs to go into there. So what we need to do is, if we just lift that up again, that will go into here. So there's like a little collar that fits onto. There you go, so that's there. That essentially does that. This fits into this top piece along here, and you've got that which latches onto there like that. That's basically how it works. So what we'll need to do is feed these in. Probably actually no other way to do it. So black, crossover onto white. So that will go onto those little pins there. So there's two little plastic pins there that goes onto. This will go kind of into there. So let's do white at the top. Okay. Oh, that's strange. Not really, it's just the way it looks. Because it's clear, it's sort of hard to differentiate. So that's there, there, there. That will go around like there. This one around here, and then down there, ooh, down into there, and long there. Let's get the cover piece because it will cover a lot of this, to be honest with you. So cover piece over. And we'll be able to cover that there. Cover over the wiring and push down. So that's got to clip over and clip in here as well. So it's actually got to go into there. So the best way to do it might be to come in kind of like so. So come in almost reversing get that kind of tucked in like that. And then, this is slightly flexible, work that into there. It looks horrible when you're doing it, but it seems to work. Should do the same down here as well, actually. Look at that. Sorry, just taking this off camera a second to force this little bit in. That's it. Alright, that might be honest with you, bent out of shape slightly because we've had to play about with the wiring at the top. So that's why that may not be sitting quite as we want it. So we'll get this small one in place first, because that's the most annoying one to get to here. See what I mean? So let's just try that again. There we go. Let's just screw that up. So that's screwed up. And then we've got there, there, here, and the other side over here. There we go. There, here, then we've got a couple over here, back, there. So we'll do one over this end. There's one here. Damn it. Come on, in you go. There you go. There you go. One over here. One in the centre. Then you've got the little rub piece that goes on there. What we'll do, we'll just get rid of some of the stuff that's in there, just so it goes in more easily. So clippy bits here towards the rear, see front at the front, so they should push into place like so. There you go. The wheels, so So they go on to here. And amusingly, but not amusingly since it's the same company, these wheels are very reminiscent of the ball barrow, if you remember the ball barrow, which was I think one of James Dyson's first products to market. It's basically a very versatile wheelbarrow made with a big plastic hopper and a rather fun looking orange sphere, which was the wheel, which meant it was very manoeuvrable when loaded up. It's quite cool actually. It used to be everywhere in the 80s. Right, then we have that done. And then this can go back in. Right, there we are. Let's see if that works. So what I'll do, I'll grab 12-volt supply again. Do a bit of deck clearing. So we don't need these anymore. We can put our T8 back. It's always good to have an organised work surface. There we go. Right, 12-volt supply. Volt supply plugged in and on, and can't remember which order these went, but it won't matter since it's DC. Just means it'll spin the wrong way, but it will obviously be the right way on the vacuum cleaner. Take these off and clip onto here, clip onto here, switch it to lowest voltage and power up. So it must be higher voltage to turn these when it's in the vacuum itself. Kind of expected. So what I'm looking for is that. Does it work? And it does. So it actually draws quite a bit of current, I would guess. So that's probably why. In fact, I can probably guarantee you why it wasn't working. And also, you've got a lot of build-up behind there, which will cause it to jam as well. Huge amount of build-up, actually. It's quite shocking. Well, actually, not shocking at all, to be honest. That's a lot of build-up. But yeah, that does seem to be working. It'll be absolutely fine once it's on the vacuum. It's just obviously this supply doesn't allow it to draw the amount of power that it needs. It needs quite a lot of current to turn this, and this supply doesn't push out huge amounts of current. So that's why, very likely, it's not turning. But it turns without any load applied, so that's good enough for me. See, it's a bit more free flowing now. There you go. So what we're looking for again, turn, turn, flex, 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 turn, flex, turn. And there you go. So that, I think, is a success. I'm going to call that a success. And a saving of probably £50 or so for a new Dyson branded head or motor head. Anyway, that is a success, and that is done. So I would like to thank you very much for watching. If you have found this useful, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks for watching.